Just go.
Yeah, I'm like literally.
Right? Thinking about it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everyone to the December 3rd City Council meeting, and I will call on the Ward 3 for the invocation.
Thank you, Mayor. Scripture says that the hearts of men, the kings, and other people are in the hand of the Lord. He changes them. He gives us revelation, gives us understanding. He's the discerner of the thoughts and the intents of our hearts. So let's pray together, ask the Lord to be with us tonight. Would you pray with me? Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to thank you for the many blessings of life. Thank you, God, for our mayor tonight, our fellow council members, those from the city who serve so faithfully, and the guests who are here. Thank you for all those that serve our city, our military. We pray, God, for our first responders and our military. God, especially those that may be deployed right now, that you may just guard them and watch over them, keep them safe. We ask, God, that you would especially be with their families during this time, Lord. And we ask, God, for wisdom tonight, guidance and courage. We ask for safety in our city and prosperity. We ask, God, that you would allow us to honor you with our words, the words of our mouth, the meditation of our hearts. God, help us to make decisions tonight, Lord, and transact business that would serve well those whom we've been elected to serve. And so we give you thanks for that, God, even in advance. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Get you to stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Marsh.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right, I call on the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Francis, Councilmember Smiley,
Here.
Councilmember Marsh,
Here.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Here.
Councilmember Craig. Here. Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Wilcox, Councilmember Meek,
Here.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Here.
Councilmember Keel,
Here.
Councilmember Bell,
Here.
Councilmember Handy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
All righty. We'll move on into item 6, public comments. Anyone from the floor would like to come and speak at the microphone, please state your name and address, please.
Diane Croney Turner, 26 Hardin Place. I'm just coming up to invite everyone to come out this Saturday from 11 to 1 to Jefferson Bend Environmental Center for our Christmas at the Bend. this is our last event that we have for this year. So we would like, Santa Claus is going to be there, Miss Claus is going to be there. We will have refreshments and we will have games and different activities. The fire department and the police department will be there giving safety tips for the holiday season. So if you don't have anything to do, just come on out and be with us at Christmas at the Bend from 11 to 1 this Saturday at Jeffers Bend. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. All righty. Anybody else would like to come speak at public comments? All righty. Move into item 7, mayor's comments. Like for everyone to remember the Christmas parade on the 14th, and we have the tree lighting in the park right there in Little River Park, right there at 5:15. And like to thank everyone. We had a huge success at the Wobble Gobble and Turkey Trot, whatever you like to call it. Thank you all for participating. We had a lot of fun and had a lot of people that was there, and we had a great crowd. Toby done some estimating, but he never would give me a number, so I'll leave it alone on that. Another thing we've got going on is another downtown businesses will be opening downtown. It's called the Krusty Pig. The grand opening will be on 12/9, and we hope everybody comes out and enjoys it. We're going to have a lot. We done sampled a little bit, done snuck in there and tasted it. It's pretty good stuff, so I can't complain. Want to remind everyone to remember this holiday season, the reason for the season, and that is Jesus Christ. We want everyone to remember that. But we'd also like for you to also remember to shop local. It's you say, oh, I can do this or do that, but please remember to shop local. You're thinking of someone's paycheck. You're thinking of how you're helping someone in your community with a small business trying to stay open. Please remember to shop local on that. I'd also like to give a good shout out to the Challenge House, the Pioneers, and the others that give away Thanksgiving dinners. They've done a great job over the Thanksgiving Day. They give away all kinds of meals, and we appreciate everything they do for us on that. Would like to, everyone, like Ms. Turner just said, don't forget Christmas at the Bend from 11 to 1. We're going to have a lot of fun over there. Miss Diane and Miss Charles and all of them, they do a great job over there. They do for us, and we'll have a lot of fun over there. And one thing that Toby did tell me about, it was West Side Park. We have the new playground in over there, so it was finished today, and Josh and them come through and done an inspection on it today, so we'd like everybody to come by and look at that and see what's going on. And we're going to move in now to Item 8, report from officers in committee, and I'm going to call on Toby to come up, and we got some talking about Rotary Park. A lot going on with Rotary Park, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Mayor, City Council, appreciate being here tonight. We just want to take a few minutes and kind of let you know some opportunities that we may have as we move forward with Rotary Park and the playground side of things. So we've invited Josh Wagner with Miracle Playground of Western Kentucky and Tennessee to come forward and give a presentation on where we stand and the opportunities we may have.
Thank you, Toby, and thank you, Mayor and Council, and everyone for taking the time to meet with us. As Toby said, my name is Josh Wagner. I'm with Miracle Playgrounds in Kentucky, Tennessee. We've had the privilege to work with the city of Hopkinsville in several of your parks, East 2nd Street, Joe Mumford, Trail of Tears, West Side recently. So over the last 4 or 5 projects that we've done have been with us. We really appreciate your business. We appreciate you, like the Mayor said, shopping local. Our company is one. We've been in business for 25 years now. My mother started it. Going to our 26th year. I've been doing it 15. All of our install crews are in-house. So it's one of those things when you're saying shop local, you are shopping Kentucky. So that's one of those things we do appreciate, not going out of state, different things like that. With that, so it's been a real partnership we've had. We had even with Tad Brockman before. Now we're continuing that on with Toby and his team. They do a great job at Parks and Rec. We couldn't be more honored to work with them. A couple years ago, Tad Brockman approached me with a vision for Rotary Park. And it was one of those things. We work very closely with different Rotarian groups all over the state of Kentucky and Tennessee. And he said, here's what we have. Here's what we're thinking. Give me a shot out of a cannon. And we gave a design for that park. And then it came back and said, we think we want to do something a little bit better. I was able to meet with Holly Bivens, with Rotary and a few others. And we kind of got together and got a design, kind of what was going on, what was going to go into this. Go back a little bit further. We saw like the area of the playground. It was just a lot larger than what we needed for the kind of the budget allocated for this potential project. So we kind of went back and met a little bit and doing some different things with that as well. But the real purpose of us being here tonight is kind of let you know a little bit about us, what we do, and kind of our vision for Rotary Park and you all. One of the good things about us, you know, we help a lot with different organizations, different fundraising opportunities to the state. We're very successful with those. There's a rubber grant through the Kentucky Waste Management. Last year, there was 10 awarded for playgrounds. We were awarded all 10 of them. 3 years before that, we got 9 out of 10. So out of the last 40 awards for playgrounds, we've gotten 37 of them. And that's because we partner with our guys, with our teams, or we partner with our cities and our communities, and we give you guides to help pay for these programs. We give you opportunities to say, hey, we're not just giving you a quote and saying, you all figure it out and go swimming on your own. We're actually working with you to let you know what the state's looking for, what different organizations and agencies are looking for. There's other grant opportunities to pay for equipment. Like I said, that one for the states is up to $75,000 for your rubber. Now, if your all's rubber being on this around the over $200,000, that's not going to cover it all, but $75,000 is better than zero. There's another grant through another organization that we can talk about too as well. It's a $25,000 grant that'll pay for your glider, that inclusive glider for the kids to roll up onto. But it's not just for kids in wheelchairs. About 13 kids can play on this thing, so it's a really good opportunity for them when you talk about universal inclusive play. So that's just one of those things that, you know, we believe in. We appreciate that everybody being here for that and just giving us the opportunity to present. So here's kind of, like I said, with us, like we believe every child deserves to play. That's our big thing. And when everybody thinks the word's inclusive playground, I used to use that word a lot, but I prefer universal playgrounds because we want to design playgrounds that are feasible for children and from infant all the way up to grandparent. If COVID taught us one thing, is there's more and more grandparents now who are caregivers for their grandchildren. They want to be a part of their lives. They're retiring younger, and daycare is so expensive, things like that. So they're really fulfilling that role. So when it comes to this kind of thing, when we're building these different relationships with these organizations, if we're thinking about playground design, what are you going to do when you have an age gap between me and my sister, for example, have 10 years between us? You have a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old and a 2-year-old. You have to provide opportunities for those kids to play and thrive. We have to provide opportunities for, you know, parents and grandparents to have shaded areas because let's be honest, if it's 100 degrees, they're not taking their kids to the park. It's just not going to happen. So that gives it different things for that as well. So like I said, with our team, this is us. So I'm pulling up on, you got me? Okay. Like I said, Tammy Phillips, my mother, she's our owner. I handle all of our sales, Kentucky, Tennessee. My sister's our project manager. Her husband, Jeff's our lead installer. And we have Tara in our office for sales. That's your team you're going to be dealing with. It's not going to be one of those things you call corporate, you get an 800 number. You might find somebody, you might not find somebody. And that's kind of what we've built that around. We're very lean, but we're very mean. When it comes to projects around the state, and can you handle a project this size? How many of y'all been to Smothers Park in Owensboro? On the river there, on the riverfront. Largest playground in the world, voted #1 playground in the world. That's our project. That's one of our Mona Lisas. When we do everything for, you know, Clarksville, Montgomery County Schools, just a little south of you. We've done several for City of Elizabethtown now. We've done a $500,000 and $600,000 project for both of them. We have one $600,000 project going in Somerset. The largest inclusive playground in the state of Tennessee, Gallatin Miracle Park, over a $2 million project. It's one of those things when we come to you guys, we're not saying, hey, give us a chance to do this. This is something where we thrive in. This is where we really go after these large projects and inclusion where it matters and taking care of what needs to be taken care of, all from a home base. So to give you some views of the park, what we're kind of envisioning, this is about 13,600 square foot. Now, what I like about this design is one thing is good. There's only one set of stairs on this entire ramp. And the reason we did that is because the big tower structure to your left, you can't go from a 5-foot deck to an 8-foot deck without using stairs from 5 foot. Now, those towers, those wrap around from a 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, all the way to an 8-foot deck. Now, what you've done by that, in Elizabethtown, when we did our design for them, for example, they're right by Fort Knox. This is where it kind of pulls for me. You have a lot of parents who have gone to war or in a wheelchair or have a walking disability or have a prosthetic. They have that opportunity to play with their child for the first time. It's also a lot easier. I have a 4-year-old, when she was 2, to go up a ramp than it is to go upstairs. So you're giving those people opportunities, not just to go maybe 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, but all the way up to 8 foot. Now those 2 towers they do have a ladder in the middle of them. That's 14 foot off the ground. So those playgrounds, and you see them in real life, they're going to bet to that pitch of that roof is about 25 foot tall. So you're creating a beacon playground where people from all over are going to come. They're going to come from Madisonville. They're going to come from Crofton. They're going to come from Clarksville, Tennessee. There's nothing like this at any of those places. So you are creating something that they're going to have to go all the way to Owensboro to find. And again, when you're competing with, number one in the world, that's just one of those situations where we don't have $5 million to do that again. I would love to, unless Mayor, something changed. Okay, just want to double check. It's been a week since we talked, so you never know.
I hadn't changed my mind yet.
Well, I didn't know if you were writing a check, so I wasn't sure. Just want to check. But that gives different opportunities here. So some of the things you're going to see in the front here is our sensory area, where a lot of STEAM pieces are for children on the spectrum. Really good to have those there on the playground. They're not isolated. It's not something that has a gate around it. It's not something that's closed off. We also keep a lot of music. Music therapy is one of the largest growing things, therapies in the country right now. So we're seeing a lot of that. You also have children who aren't into the art, who aren't into climbing and jumping. They're into the arts. They like those things. Those musical pieces are actual notes. So what they can do is, if grandma or dad or mom knows how to play piano, they can play a song for their grandchildren or their kids on that and teach them how to do that. So you got some learning going on as well. This little corner down here on the bottom, kind of the bottom left, is like a little 90-degree angle. That's basically that's what we call, that's our tranquility corner. Who's ever heard of a sensory room inside of a classroom? So when sensory rooms are, if those of you who don't know, basically they have different textures on walls, different things kids can do, different tactile stimulators to help children who are a little overstimulated decompress. Now, how many of us have taken our children to a park or a restaurant? We said we are never going back to them again because it had nothing to do with the restaurant, but how they acted there. We had that vision. This gives the same thing. If you're dealing with a child who is on the spectrum and they have an episode, for lack of a better word, and they have a breakdown, there's nowhere for them to decompress. This playground does that. All those panels on those top, you see the shapes on those top high 14-foot decks, those are all sensory panels. You get a child 14 foot in the air, has an episode, you better have a way to decompress them and get them back down, because otherwise it's going to be a bad situation and the fire department's going to be getting called. So we want to make sure we're keeping kids safe. We want to make sure that parents are safe and children are safe, because when they act out, again, aggression can come out, things like that. We want to avoid that. But also, we put them down low. They're all over this playground. And the reason we do that is because we want to give that child that one final last-ditch opportunity to decompress before they leave the playground. And that inclusion starts with understanding. So if we have that opportunity for that parent to say, hey, my son or daughter just needs a second to kind of decompress, and they can explain to that, parents understand it, and they can be more willing and susceptible to it. So there's that glider in the top. Would be east, I guess, as well. It's got 2 benches, a couple spots for a wheelchair to go into. There's also little handrails on the outside. It's about 13 kids can play on that. It's not just one piece for one child. So that kind of gives you a couple options too. The big, huge slide in the middle, that's our avalanche slide. They can go down it, obviously, but the one rule in slides is you don't climb up them. Well, that one you can. You can climb up the side. There's a little indentation on the right side of it too. So a wheelchair can drop an arm and transfer out of it. It's inclusive. Doesn't look inclusive. So it doesn't say this is just for children with disabilities. This is for all children as well. I'll go on the next slide here. We have our inclusive whirl on the left. So 2 seats there, a couple wheelchairs can sit there. So it's not just one piece for a wheelchair. Multiple children can play. We also put our 2 inclusive seats, our generation seats, which you've seen kind of those where you can sit a child or a toddler across from you. Mom and dad can swing with them, or brother or sister. 2 tot seats, 4 belt seats. Again, there's those spiral slide there off that 8-foot deck, climbers and slides all the way around. There's a slide or an exit point off every deck. The biggest problem when you run into playgrounds is there's no exit points. There's plenty of exit points. The other good thing about these is these are all of our railing systems meet the same guidelines as baby cribs. So when you pull up at night, Chief pulls up, he's going to be able to see through that entire playground. There's no hiding. There's no big barriers they cannot see through, which is also good on a playground this size because you want to be able to find your children. You'll be able to find your kids, see where that, locate them fast. I know you're talking about putting a fence around that. I highly recommend that. And things like that, just bench placement and all that for safety. But that's huge when you have somebody, you go to a playground with good optics. Some of these old leather wooden ones that, I believe you also have one. Yes, we do. They look cool, but you can hide in them. People can sleep in them. People can stay, and people you don't do, or kids doing things they shouldn't be doing in them. So this kind of try to eliminate that by that universal design you can see through. Those shades there are also 26 foot in diameter. So when you talk about some good off-put on shade, that's where you're going to be getting with these. And you got those over 3 decks as well. Next slide. Let's see. All right. So you can kind of see how we kind of enter the playground. There's some sensory panels there. Anybody, if you ever dealt with a child with CP, they can't go to that xylophone and strike and grab a mallet and strike the note. Their hands won't allow them to do it. But you see those music notes in that first panel there. Those are little discs on the other side of that. That's a marine grade speaker. It takes 6D batteries. Has to be replaced about once a year. All they have to do is be able to go touch it, and it makes a sound. It's a cause and effect thing. There's also an animal sound panel, does things like that as well. We put some lower stuff on our crawler panel so they can do that. But the good part about this thing too is you also have we welcomed our son 7 weeks ago. You can see that one little glider I was telling you has a spring seat. That's great for a mother or father to be able to hold that baby, rock that baby, and also be on the playground. When accidents happen, when supervision isn't there, we all know that. So having those opportunities for the parents to be on the playground, they're not really in the way, but can engage with their children, is huge. We try to discourage people from being there with rule signs. One of my favorite rule signs I put on playgrounds, and it's a little tongue in cheek, is all adults must be accompanied by a child, because there's no reason for an adult to be on the playground without a child. And it's just not. So that gives them opportunities to know it's there. We're aware of these with these rules, and we set them in place for these reasons. There's kind of the other side a little up close. You can tell also once you get up on that 14-foot tower, you're bird caged in. So there's no way for that child to get down unless they go down those 30-inch tube slides, which any of us could go down. It's not just going to be parallel to them, just for children. But there's activities up there. There's things for them to do, little lean out panels, different things like that for them to do around the playground. But they can either go back down the ladder, or again, they can go down the slides. So 14-foot slides, you have 5 slides off of a 14-foot deck. You want to talk about fun. That is where it's thriving for with these kids. When they get up there 14 foot off the ground, totally enclosed, not going to go anywhere, that gives them that vision of, wow, it's just euphoria for children getting up off the ground. And like I said, you can get that deck right below it. You can get a wheelchair ride to it. Dad can roll up in there in his wheelchair, or mom get out of their wheelchair and slide, have a race with their child for the first time. I always say when you do these inclusive parks, don't worry about looking at the kids. Kids will play no matter what. You give a kid a box, it can be whatever he wants it to be, he or she wants it to be. Kids learn how to play. Look at the parents who saw their children play for the first time, and they never thought they'd be able to do it. Be sure to look at that when this project comes to fruition, because that's going to be one of the biggest things you'll see. We also included signage for obviously for safety. We don't want kids to climb on these things. Just kind of keep that in mind. Our sensory section over here, there to the right, a lot of different things for deep touch. There's a roller table for proprioceptive. That's kind of the pulling and the vibration on the joints, things like that. Cause and effect panels, different things. Those big rubber bands you see there, those are for deep touch. If you've ever dealt with a child on the spectrum, they love to hug. They're big on hugging. They like compression. They can lean against those, and they can get that sensory relief with that. Kind of a quick little overview, kind of a top view of this as well. Just kind of goes over that, just shows you all the connecting points of that deck, with that design. And here's a quick little flyby that we can do. These are things that are also going to be available to you. One of the things we talked about was partnering on different things like this. So when you go to different businesses, different organizations, these are tools you have access to. I mean, how many of us, when we've heard kids say, hey, we're fundraising for a new playground at our school, but they have no picture, they have no vision of it. So when you're going and asking for this kind of donation, this kind of money from citizens, this is a great opportunity to say, well, here's what we're doing. This is what we're trying to put at our park, and give them a true vision of what is actually going there with that. So it gives a good representation of that. That's no cost to you guys whatsoever, for that as well. This is the circle that's been provided. The original was like 31,000 square feet. They went back to redesign it down to about 16.6. This one here is about 13.6. So that's about 3,000 square foot smaller. You see all that you fit in that area. 3,000 square foot equates to about $54,000 in rubber. So that would be one of those things. If this is what you chose to go with, I would recommend having the contractor shrink it down a little bit more, just because to stay within that $800,000 budget, this is where the best way to get all the equipment in that for that. Again, kind of going into some of the projects we've done, like Smothers Park there in Owensboro, 28,000 square feet, 2 city blocks. So this is one of those things. We can do these projects. They are, as far as the size of it, the layout, everything, we work very well with LAs. We work very well with your engineering to make this happen. Contractors, it's something we do every day. This one right here is the one I was telling. Next slide is this is in Elizabethtown at Funtopia. They took an old Leathers unit down, put this one up. Mayor Gregory did a couple years ago. Has a couple different areas, but you can see, like I said, the size of these towers and how large they are when you get to that 14-foot tower and those 26-foot shades. And even, like I said, for this next slide here, you can see this little boy getting ready to run off that how large those shades are in the span of those when you are 4 foot tall, and how big that's going to be when you're standing next to it. So it's very impressive from that standpoint. Keep kind of looking up on those, just some different views as well. Gallatin Miracle Park. This is the largest playground in the inclusive park in the state of Tennessee. We did their Miracle Field in the back there. You see that rubberized area. This park was over, like I said, 20,000 square feet of just rubber on the playground. That doesn't include their pedal park that we did in the back left corner, as well as their baseball field. It was like 64,000 square foot of rubber once all said and done. So that was, as far as these projects go, and the scale of them, the shades, all the different things that we can offer, the site amenities on top of this to make sure it flows with your park and makes sense. So like I said, just want to kind of show you a couple different views of some of the stuff we can do, and some of the things we've had the opportunity to do. I believe, with our partnership with the city and everything on these last 5 projects, like I said, I think from what I've been told, we've done a great job, for you guys, and we've definitely been honored to be a part of all the projects we have done with you. Being, like I said, being here local and everything, I'm in Owensboro, about an hour and 10 minutes down the road from you guys. So if there's a problem, Toby knows, call us. I think we even had a deal a couple years ago. Somebody torched something and we warranted it. It's just one of those things. It's a partnership. It's not a one-time deal with us. If they choose to go forward with this, one of the things that some people, kind of discuss is that, well, if you're asking for money, but you don't have an MOA agreement, well, who says you won't get something else? We are on Sourcewell. So that is an option for you guys to utilize. It's kind of the same as state contracting. We do give the same pricing as if we were bidding it. It makes no difference to us. We're not against it. We've bid the last 4 or 5 and been successful. But this gives you that opportunity to kind of move forward with this, and do it with your fundraising and different things like that, and let us really partner with you guys to get as much meat off the bone as we can. If you have any questions for me, I'd definitely entertain them.
Any questions for Josh? Josh, you got a beautiful playground.
Yeah, thank you.
We appreciate it.
I've got a question.
Yes,
Mayor. Mike, you're welcome. What kind of maintenance does this take? And then from a city council, what type of planning would we need to do for like resurfacing or replacing things?
Great question. So with this, our warranty, we have a 100-year warranty on our post and our clamps. So it's a 100-year lifetime warranty. Everything else, all of our decks, our slides, our climbers, carry a 15-year warranty. And that's a 15-year warranty, a flat 15 years. So it's not a prorated warranty. So year 14, day 362, your slide cracks, you get a brand new slide. The other thing about our warranty that's good is that we don't do a service charge. My warranty works just like your car warranty, and I'm one of the only companies in Kentucky that offers that. If there's a crack in your slide, we come replace it. We don't charge you $1,500 to come swap it out. The way we see it, there's an issue, we're going to take care of it for you. Now, there are some times where, something, it's very simple. And I think, even Toby them have worked on stuff like that. We've sent them apart. They popped it on because, it was very easy for them to do. It wasn't a complex thing. But we handle that internally as far as the equipment. As far as the surfacing goes, you will need to get it roll coated about year 4 and 5. Something like that, where we basically come in and we seal it. We basically take our glue and xylene and cut it, and we come in and we roll coat it and reseal it, just like your deck or wax in your car. About year 10, just give you an example, City of Owensboro, they budgeted $380,000 to redo the entire surfacing of Smothers Park. Rip it all out, redo it. That was about $1 million project to do that. Instead, we came back and said for $140,000, I'll half cap it. And I put a 1/2-inch cap over the entire area. It looks brand new because the base is fine. The rock base is fine. Mm-hmm. The buffings are fine. The rubber doesn't decompose. But the top was getting a little dingy from, Smothers Park sees over 1,000 children a day. So this gave them that opportunity to save $240,000 and half cap it. And that's going to give them another 5 years. So they're going to get 15 years out of that surfacing. A lot of times, and Toby knows, I'm on the Kentucky Parks and Rec Board. I do a lot of, I'm a certified playground safety inspector as well. A lot of our customers, what they'll do is in the fall, they'll reach out and say, let's do a walkthrough on our rubber playgrounds. And we do that because what happens is if, let's say there's a hole or a puncture, we want it fixed in the fall. Because what can happen is if you don't go fix it, water gets in it, it freezes, it expands and spider cracks and pops the top off of it. So we want to make sure that gets resolved early with a maintenance plan where we come by and look at that for free. We don't charge you all anything for that. Now, if somebody's cutting the top of the rubber, things like that, you're going to see a patch. There's no way around that. It's going to go differently because it's the fading and the discoloration from the glue. But it's not something we can't handle. But we definitely want to be proactive so it won't be reactive later and cost a lot more money down the line.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you for the questions. Great question.
Any other questions?
Yes.
You mentioned the roll coating at years 4 or 5.
Yes.
Is there a cost to that, or is that also a warranty item?
No, that's not a warranty item. So it's about $3 a square foot to roll coat. So it's something usually people will budget, throughout about 5 years and take that number, divide it by 5 and kind of put that in the budget. And we highly recommend that.
Do you lock that square footage price in when the park is built? Like whatever that square footage is to roll coat in 2025?
That is our
prorated
price. Yes.
Okay.
That is we kind of do it by the year. So we kind of gauge 5 years from what we've seen from the last 10. And right now that's that $3, unless something just crazy happens with COVID or something, where you can't get glue anymore or, something like that happens, then, obviously has to be some things like that. But we that's pretty much the price that we're seeing if the trends continue as they have over the last 10 years.
Okay. With these maintenance items, are there any other maintenance things that we would have to be cognizant of to set money aside for?
Nothing that you wouldn't have to for any other park. Swing chains, belt seats, tot seats, they are going to wear out just like every other, does. Swing chains are about $3 a foot. The clevises, I think, are $20 a pair. Belt seats are $40. Tot seats are $100, I believe. So things like that are going to wear out over time. Yes, absolutely. One thing that's going to save your surfacing, and what I included in my price, was mats under all swings, all slides, and impact points like that. And those are going to be the things that when you have those thick wear mats where kids are kicking away, that's going to save the longevity of your rubber as well. So in basic maintenance that you're going to do at Trail of Tears or that you're going to do down here at Westside, it's going to be the same thing as you're doing there. This isn't anything. We're not reinventing the wheel here with this. It's the same equipment, the same 5-inch posts, the same decks that we just put down there. It's just on a larger scale.
Gotcha.
So.
All right,
Yes,
thanks.
great question, yes. Anyone else?
Anyone questions? Thank you, Josh. I appreciate the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council, for your time. I appreciate it. Look forward to working with y'all soon.
Right. Thank you. Also on Rotary Park, we will be opening the bids on the 5th. I believe it's about 10 o'clock, isn't it, Melissa? So if anybody wants to be present, can be here to be seeing the opening of the bids for the south side of the park. Okay? All right. We will move into item 9, approval of minutes for November 26, 2024 special call meeting.
I'll make a motion. to
Second.
approve
A
those.
motion seconded by Mr. Meeks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Item 10, ordinance 34-2024 FY 24-25 operational budget amendment, second reading.
Amending the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. Summary, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, by summary, Section 1 of Ordinance 25-2024, adopting the annual budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2024 and ending June 30th, 2025 is amended as follows. Revenue, General Fund, $51,394,493. Municipal Road Aid Fund, $776,690. Prior year MRA, $148,619. Prior year General Fund, $3,537,607. Total revenue is $55,857,409. Expenses, General Fund, $54,932,100. Municipal Road Aid Fund, $925,309. Total expenses, $55,857,409. Surplus, zero. Section 2 of Ordinance 16-2024 is amended to add Code Enforcement Officer 1 to pay grade 10, Code Enforcement Officer 2 to pay grade 11, and Code Enforcement Officer 3 to pay grade 12. Section 3, the full text of this ordinance is on file in the office of the undersigned city clerk of the City of Hopkinsville at 715 South Virginia Street, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where it is available for public inspection between the hours of 8 o'clock a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Need a motion?
Motion.
I've got Amy and I believe Matthew over there on the end. All righty. Any discussion? Call on the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell.
Yes.
And that passes on second reading.
All righty. Ordinance 35-2024 FY 24-25 capital budget amendment, second reading.
Amending the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky annual capital equipment and property replacement budget for fiscal year July 1, 2024 through June 30th, 2025 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that Section 1 of Ordinance 17-2024 adopting the fiscal year 2024-2025 capital equipment and property replacement budget is amended as follows. Transfer from General Fund, $1,987,916. Transfer from General Fund wins additional insurance premium, $258,296. Transfer from General Fund, FTCKY GSA contract, $100,000. Transfer from General Fund Police Department, $40,956. Prior capital equipment reserve, $998,741. Total capital revenues, $3,385,909. Expenses, information technology, $252,000. Police Department, $373,909. Fire Department, $1,450,000. City Maintenance, $450,000. Fort Campbell Contracts, $100,000. Service Center, $25,000. Parks and Recreation, $125,000. Buildings and Properties, $550,000. Transfer to MRA, $60,000. Total capital expenses, $3,385,909. Surplus deficit, zero. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is for any reason held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, any and all existing ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law.
All right. Need a motion?
Motion. Second.
Travis, Steve. All righty. Any discussion? See no discussion, call on the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell.
Yes.
That passes on second reading.
Okay. Ordinance 36-2024, Newcomb Oil Company LLC, Annexation, first reading.
An ordinance annexing approximately 4.106 acres into the city of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, Newcomb Oil Company LLC. Whereas the city of Hopkinsville has declared it desirable to annex certain unincorporated property known as Newcomb Oil Company LLC into the city of Hopkinsville limits. And whereas the subject property is adjacent to the city's current boundaries and is urban in character and suitable for development for urban purposes. And whereas Newcomb Oil Company LLC gave prior written consent to annexation, copies of which are on file at the Christian County Courthouse. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, pursuant to KRS 81A.410 and 81A.412, Hopkinsville City Council hereby annexes the following unincorporated area of Christian County into the city limits of Hopkinsville. A portion of land consisting of approximately 4.106 acres, more particularly described in Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein, is by reference as set forth. Hopkinsville City Council hereby declares the service delivery plan and city taxes will be in effect on the first day after publication and notice as required in KRS 81A.470 and KRS 81A.475 have been met. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, any and all existing ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law.
All right. Need a motion and a
Motion.
Second.
Bruce, Jamie. All righty. Any discussion? Chuck?
Can you all explain exactly what this is? I mean, this is not just a field that we're going to annex into the city. There's more to it. So explain it so everybody understands what we're really voting on.
It's going to be another service station right out there on that piece of property, and some other buildings that they are talking about building and putting out there beside that, right there.
So basically, it's a convenience store.
Convenience
and
store
some
and
additional-
other additional buildings.
Okay, now, it's already under construction, is that correct?
They're starting to move dirt and stuff like that, correct, Tom? Okay. All righty. That answer what you needed?
I knew because I dug it up.
I
but
know.
wanted everybody-
I know you dug it up. We done had this conversation once, but that's okay. I just want to make sure. Any other questions? All right, call the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes,
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell.
Yes.
That passes on first reading.
All righty. We move into item 11, municipal orders. Municipal order 42-2024, HWEA wholesale water rates.
Upon recommendation of the Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority, Hopkinsville City Council hereby increases the wholesale water rates which Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority shall charge to Christian County Water District to the amount shown on the attached Exhibit A, subject to the approval of these rates by the Kentucky Public Service Commission, the PSC. The Phase 1 rate shall become effective for all water purchased by Christian County Water District on and after July 1st, 2025, and the Phase 2 rate shall become effective for all water purchased by Christian County Water District on and after July 1st, 2026. Hopkinsville City Council hereby authorizes the Hopkinsville Water Environment Authority to take any and all actions necessary to obtain PSC approval of the wholesale water rates set forth in Exhibit 1.
Right, need a motion?
Motion.
Don? Terry? All right, any discussion? No discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Then municipal order 43-2024, Legacy Hopkinsville Rental Rehabilitation Incentive Program. Before you go into that, just a second, I'd like to call on Councilman Keel.
Thank you, Mayor Knight. Going through this, I had some folks reach out to me with some concerns on some of the language in the appendix, specifically around the heat source and those things in there. So what I did from there is I think me and Mayor Knight had a few conversations, and as far as I know, if I left anybody out, I'm sorry. Everybody that was on the committee that we went through here, I called everybody involved, and we kind of just individual conversations kind of talked a few things out. So the changes, and that we were wanting to make, when you get down here, we'll start at the heat source, but then there's a couple other things that was brought up in conversation. We're wanting to remove the Energy Star rated, because with what the goal of this committee was to be able to make something better than what we had, make it efficient. So instead of putting like maxing out things, we want to have, this is the kind of a minimum requirement that we need to see in these houses. And I know, Mayor Knight and I, we discussed the SEER rating on the heat pump. I think instead of 12, we needed to move that to 13.
13 plus.
Because manufacturing is going to change, going into the next year. You're not going to be able to get a 12 SEER anyway.
No, you can't get 12 SEER
I
now.
don't know that you can get one now.
No.
So, but also we noticed there was no entry in there for gas units. So we had the concern that, well, if you put in a gas unit, would you be covered? So the 80% and above, it's typically known in the trade as an 80 plus. It's using, it's a good efficient unit. So we're wanting to make those changes. But then it was also pointed out to me, and I think I had a few conversations about this. When we go up to the plumbing, all the low flow and all of that, we had never really discussed that as a committee. I think that was what, I know Bruce and I had that conversation, and and Matthew, that wasn't on the committee but showed up to the meetings. He even said, I don't remember any of that being in there. Because all we'd really asked for on the plumbing, if I'm recalling, and Chuck, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're good at that with me, was we were just wanting the plumbing inspected to be sure the plumbing was, your supplies, your drains, all that was up to code. The rest of it is just kind of added in there. So we're wanting to remove the low flow items out of there. And then I actually met with my electrician today because I was kind of confused on this one. And man, it's just something I don't think we called at the committee level. When we go looking at the electrical side, the single phase service, a minimum rating of 60 amps, you can't put a 60 amp in a residential anymore. 100 amp overhead is as low as they'll let you go, and get your green sticker on that. And quite honestly, because I've written several checks on this, unfortunately, when you go to replacing your weather head, your riser, all those, when it ties back into the box, if your box isn't up to code, so if you've got your 60 amp box, they're going to tell you you're not passing until you have that 100 amp box in there, because they're pulling that 100 amp wire. So I think we just need to change 60 amp to 100 amp in that language, and be sure we're getting in there what we need. Because I guarantee you, Chief Futrell back there, his boys will tell you they don't like rolling up on those house fires and seeing that 60 amp meter socket, do you, Steve? So we know what that causes. So, and if anybody else has anything, I just, JR had asked me, Mayor Knight had asked me to kind of cover the changes we'd been discussing. You feel free to fire any questions at me, Mayor Knight, whoever, and someone from the committee.
Yes, ma'am.
I have something. Because at my house, we've done the new box and
Maybe
wiring and all sorts. Yeah. Yes.
Not
So
cheap.
it is not cheap. So taking away the low flow, out of the plumbing section, and that $2,000, can we move $1,000 of that maximum reimbursable down to the electrical and make the electrical reimbursable $3,000?
The reason we were just removing that is the faucets, the low flow stuff, that's not where the expense is at.
Right. Okay.
The expense is in running new supply lines, running new drain lines. That was the thought process behind it. The requirements on the faucet and the shower heads, honestly, was never really even discussed amongst the committee.
Right. Okay.
we're just trying to be sure their plumbing's not leaking, their drains aren't leaking.
Gotcha. Okay.
Those items. That's the reason we left it where it was.
Okay. Any other questions?
Brittany, we threw a lot at you. Did you keep up?
All righty. You ready to do what you ready to do there, Miss Brittany? Yeah. Okay, we'll turn it back over to Brittany then.
Hopkinsville City Council hereby amends Municipal Order 33, 2024 by adopting the attached revised Legacy Hopkinsville Rental Rehabilitation Incentives Program policy. Funding for the Legacy Hopkinsville Rental Rehabilitation Incentives Program will be taken from funds budgeted from the Intercity Res Program.
All righty, need a motion?
Motion.
Got Travis, Terry, any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty. Item C, Municipal Order 44-2024, Ascend Way Road.
Hopkinsville City Council hereby authorizes the mayor to execute a purchase agreement with Hopkinsville Industrial Foundation Incorporated to purchase up to 6.48 acres of real estate located within Commerce Park 2 for the sum of $259,200 on the condition that said amount is a reimbursable expense from the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development.
Okay, need a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion.
Don, Travis, now let's go into discussion.
Yeah.
All righty, Chuck, go ahead, sir.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
What we have here, Melissa, would you like to come to the podium and talk to as we make your way? What we have here is $259,000, if my number is correct in front of me. We have grant money that is not spent at Commerce Park 2. On that, Melissa?
Yep. You guys will remember we got a $7 million grant from the state for infrastructure, road construction, and the rail spur. The deadline for the grant was September 30th. As the invoices rolled through, we paid everything on September 30th. At the very last minute, when we got to the end, we had some money left, which we did not anticipate. And so over the last couple of weeks, the state has been in contact with us trying to figure out if we had any other expenses towards this grant. And they are going to allow us to submit this additional expense on the grant for us to get reimbursed by it. We have $268,108 left on the grant. And this expense for the right-of-way of Ascend Way, there's a map. Did they get the map? Yeah.
Yep.
Did you guys see the map? The right-of-way to connect Ascend, Mike can probably explain it better than I can, but there's a road that's 6 acres that we're going to purchase at $40,000 an acre from the Industrial Foundation.
So basically, this is to purchase the land for the right of way
Yes,
with grant money.
yes.
Okay, now, I saw the little blurb in there that said something like, if it covers it, what if it doesn't?
It's in the purchase agreement that the Industrial Foundation will refund us whatever the state does not cover in the grant.
Okay, so if the state says, no, we messed up, we're covered.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Doug has it written in the MO that we're doing that it will state that if the state does not reimburse us, Industrial Foundation will reimburse us.
We have already drafted the purchase agreement and we've sent it to John Crenshaw. He has approved it, and it specifically contains a provision that in the event any of this $259,200 is not reimbursable from the state EDF grant, the Industrial Foundation will reimburse the city an equal amount. So we're not going to be out anything.
I have a question. What is the timeline for reimbursement?
Well, the payment will be made tomorrow in order to get this in before the deadline. And As far as the reimbursement from the state, I can't speak to that.
Yeah, they can't tell us when we're going to get reimbursed.
The reimbursement, if the grant, let's just say everything goes in the toilet and it doesn't work, what's the reimbursement
They'll let
timeline?
us know
That would
pretty,
be-
they'll let us know pretty quick if it's not going to be approved. I called my
But the-
contact at the state this morning. Then we had a conference call with her and her boss. And then they sent it up the chain and got a preliminary approval that this is an eligible expense under the infrastructure and economic development grant. So it has been preliminary approved already, or we wouldn't be here right now. So the state has said, yes, we think this is an eligible expense. As it goes through the chain of approvals, there are like 6 people that have to approve it. And it will take a few weeks or maybe up to a month before we get reimbursed.
Right, I understand that, but
That's not what she
if you
said.
don't get the reimbursement from the state, what's the
How long
timeline
from
for?
the
That would
industrial
be-
foundation?
From the
When John
foundation?
pays
That would
back,
be
Melissa.
expected immediately.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there a road that we're gonna have to build out of this? Is that,
No, this is on the rail spur.
It's already
oh,
built.
on a rail spur?
Rail
Okay.
spur part.
Well, I didn't-
Mike's done all the roads we can do out there for now.
Done.
But no, is immediately is on the industrial foundation side if we do not get our money. Okay? Any other questions?
Yeah, I got another question.
Yes, sir?
Why are we just finding out about this today?
Well, we just found out about it last week. And everybody's scrounging. I'll tell you, nobody wants to give the money back to the state because we're going to ask for more next month. We're going back to the state and ask for more money for Commerce 2 next month. The city and the county are, when we go up to Frankfurt and ask for more money to help fund that project. Because I don't see how we can keep taking it out of our pockets here at the city. The state's gonna have to help us kick in some too on that. But they don't like saying, well, you just give us back $250,000. Why didn't you spend that? And now you come back wanting more. We were told to spend the money, what we were told to do before we come and ask for
I'm
more.
kind of dumb, but won't the state just buy it from Industrial Foundation, call it a day?
Well, that would be in the perfect world.
The city will own the right of way after we buy it. And
Right.
I think we would own it anyway. It becomes ours to maintain and take care of.
Right.
So,
But if we can get state money, we'll try to get all that we can from them.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Got one no. Okay. All righty. I move into item 12. I have something on that right there. Under other will be economic development. And we've had our hands full with that in the last month and a half. I think we'd all say that's an understatement, just a little bit. I am forming a committee under economic development, and I'm done talked to 4 gentlemen about this. It's Chuck Crabtree, Don Marsh, and Jason Bell, and Doug Willen. We're going to look at this on guidelines of where we move forward on economic development, how we're going to put this down in paper. How far does economic development go before they don't start talking to the attorneys and so on? We're going to get some guidelines. And we will be talking with the county about this too. These 4 gentlemen will, trying to move forward. So we're not in this situation we've been in for the last month and a half, and we keep it in-house instead of being all over the streets, in which it has been all over the streets. That's my reasoning for this committee, to get some guidelines set by here in the first quarter of the next year so we can move forward. Okay? Because we already have movement going on other pieces of property. Economic Development, Carter and them have been on the phone with us today on some other projects. It's moving pretty fast since some other businesses got their money. So
If I may make a recommendation to the mayor and rest of council, maybe all those that have input into this, all those in here and those outside of here should sign a non-disclosure agreement binding them to not discuss what they don't need to discuss. And that's everybody.
I agree with that 100%.
And that could be done immediately.
We'll let Mr. Will and him direct us in the right direction on that. But I agree with you 100%. Non-disclosure on all that. So
There you
We
go.
do we need to turn that, committee into an MO, Doug? Do we need to
Yeah,
push
I think it's
that
going
up?
to be either way, either an executive order or a municipal order.
Okay.
It's
so
my
I'd be-
understanding that was going to be the mayor's committee, which would be an executive order.
Oh, I'd be glad to make the motion if it's gonna be an MO.
no, it's just going to be an executive order, move forward on it. I just feel like we need to get this under wraps now instead of letting it prolong.
Somebody's been caught in the middle of it for a while.
Yes,
Thank you.
problem.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to play the he said, she said game here. We're going to move this committee forward and I want y'all to do a good job on it. I
I'm
appreciate it.
glad you asked. Just be careful what you ask for.
I
You might
do.
get more than you
I know.
want.
Hey, I know what I did when I opened that door. I expect all three of y'all councilmen and Doug come up with a good solution, what we're looking for. Okay? All right, anything else under other? No other things under other? Councilman comments? Seeing no comments? I will say one thing before we adjourn there, Don. We will have the December 17th meeting here. We will have that meeting. We have just a few things, small business to take care of, especially for some of the council members. And we'll go from there.
What about committee of the whole? We still have that too.
Mr. Keel?
I'll be honest with you, I hadn't really looked at what's on the agenda or anything. More than likely, I'll probably talk to the mayor, reach out to department heads, see if they've got anything pressing. And what we may do is if we're gonna have that meeting on the 17th, if we feel like we need a committee of the whole, we'll probably just move it and do it before that meeting and just knock it all out at once. I'll probably put something out to department heads and mayor and everything later tonight or tomorrow, get a little feedback, see what we got.
So when is the swearing in again?
30th
30th? Okay.
at 5
Is
o'clock.
that dressed up or?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I thought some people was gonna be gone. I mean, I didn't know if he's gonna take pictures or
We
not.
only have 2 that's not going to be here.
We'll do that. the
We'll do
first
that.
meeting.
We'll do that the first meeting. We'll do that in January. Hey,
That's all
I'm not
right.
mad at you, Travis. You got to keep the wife happy. All righty, we will move into number 14, Ward 3.
Thank you. I only, this is really a, I guess, 13 comment. The only conflict I saw with the 17th was the new council orientation in Madisonville. It's a nighttime meeting. Did we know that, or we can talk about that later? I can call the clerk and we can find out what to do with that.
That would be for the new council people, unless you're going, are you going? What do you mean?
Well, it was open to us. I was sent it by KFC, so. Mhm. KLC. Yeah, right. It was KFC. I must be hungry. Yeah, so, all right. Yeah, make it KLC. So, but no, we'll move on. Thank you. We're in a warm season. I wanted to take a couple of moments and try to just speak a word that would bless all of you. So thank you for your patience for a moment. We have Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a really happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas to everyone a little bit early. We had an opportunity to visit with our family, and so I apologize for missing, but it was time well spent. The Thanksgiving season that we have is a warm season for so many of us. You know, it's reported that monies to charities is higher. This is Giving Tuesday, you know, and that kind of thing. Along with that warm and fuzzy feeling, it's also a hard season for some. So we also find out that incidents of loneliness and depression, things like that, are higher during this season as well. So we want to keep folks in mind when we are, you know, we're praying for them and serving them. in the city. Thanksgiving leads to Christmas. So, it's a wonderful transition from the Thanksgiving for the blessings of life and the things that God gives to us, pointing toward Christmas and the ultimate gift that God gave to us in the Lord Jesus Christ. I recently have loved seeing a movie on Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and Eric Metaxas on Dietrich Bonhoeffer says he was a great realist. He was one of the few who quickly understood, even before Hitler came to power, that National Socialism was a brutal attempt to make history without God and to found it on the strength of man alone. And so Bonhoeffer, in turn, said, God loves human beings. God loves the world. Not an ideal human, but human beings as they are. Not an ideal world, but the real world. What we find repulsive in their opposition to God, what we shrink back from with pain or hostility, namely real human beings, the real world, this is for God the ground for unfathomable love. I was thinking about the Hopkinsville that we serve, the people of Hopkinsville that we serve, in Hopkinsville itself. I have only been a resident of Hopkinsville for about 7 years, even though I'm a native Kentuckian. I have to tell you, I love Hopkinsville. I know lots of people tend to talk it down a little bit, but I love Hopkinsville. I think Hopkinsville's an awesome place. I love Hopkinsville, not the ideal Hopkinsville, but the Hopkinsville that we live in, and the people of Hopkinsville. So, like Bonhoeffer, I just want to say, Bonhoeffer said, I'm still discovering right up to this moment that it is only by living completely in this world that one learns to have faith. I mean, living unreservedly in life's duties, problems, successes and failures, experiences and perplexities. In doing so, we throw ourselves completely into the arms of God. James Davis, for all of us who are serving, and all of us in this room really, said that it's the last zero in a number that adds the most value to the number. It's the last zero that turns a 10 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 1,000,000, 1,000,000 to 1,000,000,000, and so on and so on. Then he asks the question, are you a last zero person? I want to be that last zero person. And I want to be a first responder at the same time. It's easy to overlook a zero. It's easy to overlook the importance of that final step, that last bit of effort required to reach a goal or milestone. But that last push, as small as it may seem, is often what separates achievement from falling just short. Starting strong is not hard, but are you someone who has the dedication and perseverance to see things through to the very end? Will you be the one to add that final zero and make your dream or somebody else's ambitious goal a reality? As Don Marsh, councilman from Ward 3, mine is a relatively small commitment to help make Hopkinsville stronger, healthier, and more prosperous. But I offer my life and work and thank God for each of you. And I'm honored to serve alongside of you. As for us, as Americans and Hopkinsville residents, citizenship and residency is a birthright, and residency is a relatively easy achievement. But as servant leaders, true patriotism and serving our fellow citizens and residents is costly if fully realized. And to me, the measure of our success will be the godly heritage of freedom, compassion, and prosperity that we pass along to the next generation. And with that, I move, Mr. Mayor, to close and adjourn the meeting.
Second.
And second by Travis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.